avoiding the inmate manipulation trap. Why do we need to always talk about inmate manipulation? Yes, it's a popular subject, and I know some of you are saying, well, here we go again. I know what inmate manipulation is. I'm not going to let an inmate manipulate me. But unfortunately, we read much too often about an officer who has been manipulated by an inmate. And that's why we must have an awareness always, every day when we go to work, about inmate manipulation. We must also understand the importance of situational awareness. What is going on around us? What are the inmates up to? Is the inmate talking to me to lure me away from something? We have to always be aware of these inmate manipulation tactics. And awareness and knowledge of inmate manipulation is a great weapon to have in your arsenal, because you don't want to fall into that trap. And we're going to discuss a few areas of inmate manipulation today and try to give you an understanding of how, even when you know that you are an honest person, a good officer, how you could fall into the trap, how easily one little thing could cause you a problem with your career, with your job, with your freedom. Hi, I'm Gary York, True Prison Stories. Please subscribe if you like this video. You know, we have to always start out talking about ethics in corrections, and we have to know that our correctional officer oath and our moral character and knowing our agency policies and procedures go a huge distance. They go a long way in surviving this career in corrections. Your correctional officer oath alone gives you a guideline to follow every day. And if you follow that guideline, you'll be fine. You'll have a successful career in corrections. Your ethics and moral character, yes, we all should know right from wrong, right? I know this is the right way, and I know this side over here is the wrong way, but yet we still have people fall over on the other side and get in trouble. Agency policies and procedures. Yes, they're a guideline as well. Every incident you run into in your jail and prison system has something to do with your agency guidelines and procedures on how you react to that incident. It doesn't have to be exactly by the book, but you want to stay within those guidelines. And staying within those guidelines will protect you from any kind of inmate manipulation, inmate approaching you, trying to get something from you. Just remember those three things, and please look at your correctional officer oath and read it. Again, 15 years later in your career, you took the correctional officer oath 15 years ago. Have you seen it since? Have you read it since? And have you read each paragraph, each subtitle, to understand what that means? It's a guideline for you to protect you. Rookie officers, I truly believe that no one comes in and signs up to be a correctional officer with the intent to do something wrong, with the intent to bring an inmate contraband, with the intent to give the inmate something extra that they're not allowed, with the intent of giving the inmate a cigarette, a piece of gum, or food from McDonald's, which is all contraband under Florida Statute 944.47. That's all third-degree felony contraband. So I truly believe you come in to take that oath knowing that you're going to do a good job, and then somewhere down the line, and this just is not for rookie officers, this is for experienced officers as well. If we get complacent in our job, we can fall into the trap with 15, 20 years. It's happened. We've seen it. Take the Clinton Correctional, where the officer fell into the trap with Joyce Mitchell, bringing in the food and taking it to the inmates that she handed to the officer. He should have known better. He had over 20 years experience. So rookie or experienced officer, we all have to be aware that the inmate manipulation trap is there, always luring and lurking around us, and the inmates are watching us 24/7, sizing us up, learning our moves, learning our activities, trying to figure out what we're up to, what's next. I talked about the correctional officer oath already. We face ethical dilemmas every day in our job. So we have to know our role as a correctional officer. We have to know what we're allowed to do and what we're not allowed to do. I mean, if you don't know that, and if you're not taught that in training, you're in trouble from the very start. Because if you're left on an island alone as a rookie officer, without that proper training, you've just been set up for failure. That's why it's so important for the agency to make sure we teach inmate manipulation, ethics, and we have our field training officers up to date with that. And our field training officers are talking about that during the floor training with our officers. I don't know how long your floor training is. Ours was 5 weeks at the jail. And for 5 weeks, I'm walking around with a experienced officer with many years under his or her belt. And they need to be talking about inmate manipulation during that training, what to watch out for, what these inmates will do during feeding time to get an extra tray, what they will do to try to get you to do for them what they want, what they need. They're always watching you and sizing you up, okay? You'll face challenges every day in the jails and prisons. You're there to serve and protect the community. You are there for care, custody, and control of the inmates. We are not there to be their friend, to be their partner, or to bring things in for them that they need. And we're going to discuss that more as we go along. Yes, I put a little miniature PowerPoint together for notes for me for this video. That's how serious I am about inmate manipulation, which leads to corruption, which leads to danger, which leads to an unsafe jail and unsafe prison. So again, what do your policies and procedures do for you, and your post orders, your individual post orders for each dorm or every job there is in the jail or prison? It will govern the staff behavior. It provides a guideline, as I said earlier, for officers to follow. It protects the officers and the supervisors and the administration when followed. It keeps everyone up to date on what is allowed and what is not allowed. And that last one is the key. Your policies and procedures tell you what's allowed and not allowed. You have a lot of studying to do, officers, if you haven't done it. Read your correctional officer oath. Study your policy and procedures. Know right from wrong. And study inmate manipulation. Be practicing your situational awareness every day. Whether you're doing your count, whether you're in feeding, whether you're in your officer station. Know what's around you. Know what's happening. Know what's going on. The worst and most dangerous time for an officer is when an officer does not pay attention and does not know what is going on in their dorm or in their pod or on the recreation field, or what I should be listening for or not listening for. Remember, silence in a jail or prison, silence is sometimes a sign of something is about to break. We need to learn these as we go. We don't expect you to come in as a rookie and just, boom, I know all these things. These things are learned over time, But always talk to a seasoned officer, an officer who's been around for a while. Always ask questions about things you don't know. Always study and be ready for anything that can happen. And know who to call. Know when to call. Know what situations to go into and when to step back and call for backup. You don't do this stuff alone. We do it as a team. Because inmates can manipulate you and get you into a trap. So situational awareness is very important. Head on a swivel, we call it, in the military and in corrections, at least where I was. Know what's going on around you. Use all your senses, your seeing, your hearing, gathering information and analyzing that information. Get that info, pass it on to your fellow officers, to your supervisors, to the next shift that's coming on. That's very important to protect them and be aware of a possible incident that's about to go down. Maybe it hasn't happened yet, but you've gathered information through your senses, hearing, seeing, and smelling. Smelling is big in jail and prisons, right? Ah, that smells like marijuana. That smells like fire. Something's going on. We need to check this out. Let me call for an extra officer or two. I don't want to walk in this situation alone. Stay focused. Stay vigilant. Okay? That's situational awareness. Supporting each other. I am going to get into inmate manipulation tactics, but these things I'm telling you here ahead of time are things you have to build into your teamwork with each other, build into yourself, so that you can fight these following inmate tactics I'm going to discuss. Importance of knowing my fellow officer has my back. That's very important information. I need to know you have my back. That way I know I can make this move and I have backup. Show support and trust. I don't care if you like me or dislike me. When we're in that uniform on duty for that 12 or 16 or 20-hour shift, you know I'm there to help you. I maybe don't like you. You maybe don't like me. That does not matter when we're on shift in the uniform. You can go home and don't have to talk to each other, but boy, you better back each other up when you're on duty. Guide new officers in the right direction. I talked about that earlier. You have to guide new officers, folks. They're going to fall into that trap. How many new officers have you seen not make it past their first year? We know, those of us who have been in corrections for a while. Part of that may be to blame on us, not training them correctly, not guiding them correctly, not stopping them when we see them doing something wrong and taking them off separately and talking to them. Constructive criticism. Right or wrong, take those new officers. And you did a great job, perfect. You did it perfect. Or what you did was wrong. You were going to fall into a trap. That inmate was luring you away, trying to get you to go into his cell because he wants to show you some issue he has in his cell. In the meantime, over in the cell up on the top tier corner, something's going down up there that they don't want you to see. Be aware. Call for backup. Get more officers. They're in there 24/7. If he has time to talk to you and lure you into his cell, you have time to back out and get another officer and then go see what's going on, right? Traps. They set traps. Communication works. The inmates do not want us to communicate with each other. They hate that. Darn, I can't get away on anything on this shift. These officers let each other know what's going on. Man, we got to wait for the next shift. They've got some weak staff on that shift. They don't tell each other what's going on that next shift. Communicate with your offgoing and oncoming shifts. Let each other know what's going on. The inmates, as I said, hate it when we communicate because it shows us working together. They want us to be separated from each other so they can isolate us and work on us on things I'm about to talk about. Pass on information about a disgruntled inmate who's upset about maybe going to cause some trouble later, so that me coming on the next shift, I could keep an eye on him or her. Keep an eye and see what's going on. It gives me a heads up. Might save some lives as well, just passing that little bit of information on. Stay ahead of the inmates' games. Communication among officers and the civilian staff. If I have a nurse coming on to give meds and she says, I need Inmate Jones, you say, listen, Inmate Jones is acting really weird today, so we're going to go with you. Make sure, or in the jail, we had them come to the door, not inside the pod. At night, yes, we went cell to cell because it was lockdown. But, you know, during the daytime or afternoon, we had them come up one at a time, and we had the door blocked with a med cart. And I'd say, here he comes now. I'm right here. Be ready. You have to communicate with the civilian staff as well, or a counselor calls Inmate Jones. Hey, counselor, Jones is not right today. Something's wrong. I want you to be aware. You need to have people with you. You know, let's protect each other. Come on. We're short-staffed, but we still got to do it. If we have to have a supervisor be there, we have to have a supervisor be there. We have to. We have to work together as a team. Knowledge is power, folks. Knowledge is power. Let's keep communicating with each other so we can win and not the inmates. Do it right from the start of your career. Inmates are watching your every move. Stay consistent in your job. Don't do one thing for one inmate, like give them an extra tray and nobody and not any of the other inmates. You're not supposed to give extra trays anyway. You're starting to fall into the inmate trap when you start giving out extra trays. Say it, then do it. If you say you're going to do something to an inmate, then do it. Somebody may say, why? Who cares whether they get it or not? Well, I'll tell you why. Do you want your job to go easier? If you say you're going to get them the shower slides because you verified their shower slides are ripped open and tore up, do it before you get off shift. Because you've just shown the inmate, I keep my word. That lets the inmate know you're an upfront officer. No, you're not giving them contraband. You're giving them what they're allowed to have. But when they know you keep your word, you're going to have an easier time with these inmates, believe me. Not all of them. There's always going to be those, 2 or 3 that are hard to handle, but you're going to have an easier time. And those who have been in corrections a while know what I'm talking about. Like at lockdown. Lockdown, lockdown. Sooner you're in, sooner you're out. Chow time, lockdown, lockdown. And you'll see some dorms where the inmates just go in, pop, 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 like dominoes. Every door is closing because they know you mean what you say. And then you'll hear somebody call on the radio, Sierra 1 or Sierra 2, which is one of the sergeants, Sierra 3, another sergeant. Sierra 2, I'm having trouble with lockdown. I'm going to need some more help over here. Well, why are you having trouble with lockdown? Sometimes the best officers have trouble with lockdown because something's going down. But normally, if they know you know what you're doing, they're going to lock down. So I just told them the sooner you're in, the sooner you're out. They lock down for me. I do my count, food carts, boom, they eat, and then I let them out. I didn't leave them in there an extra hour so my day is easier. And they know that. They know all that stuff. Dress professional. I don't care if you think I'm old school or not. I still hear a lot of people today telling their staff, dress professional. Why? You think my fellow officer cares what I look like? Well, some do, because I've been with officers and we've looked at an officer come in and say, what the heck? Did he sleep in that uniform? Inmates know when you're a sharp officer. Uniform's ironed, you're dressed, you walk well, you walk upright. They know that. Inmates know. Don't walk with your head down like a woe is me. Oh, God, another day. Well, number one, you're walking with your head down through the dorm. They know you're not paying any attention. They know your mind is somewhere else. Time to take advantage. Do something they're not supposed to do. When you walk in with your head up and a good attitude and you look sharp and you're walking around looking and saying, hey, get that out of the window. Nothing hanging in the window. Hey, get that paper off that ceiling vent. Get that paper off. They know. They know you're sharp. They know they can't get away with anything. They're testing you with all this stuff. Inmates are sizing you up and watching every movement you make. Who's vulnerable to inmate manipulation? Well, we all can be, but we don't have to be if you do the things I told you above. But now we're getting into who's vulnerable. Disgruntled staff member. I hate this place. I hate my supervisors. Inmates hear that. Ding, 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 ding. There's my man. I need to start working on him. He hates them anyway. He may do some things for me that I need done. Low self-esteem. Oh, woe is me. I can't do anything right. I'm ugly. And then the inmates say, I'm going to use a she this time. She seems to be down in the dumps. She needs me to come cheer her up. Start out slow. Oh, you look nice today. 2 days later, boy, you're beautiful today. Oh, here comes some extra lipstick. Hairdo next after 2 days off. Uh-oh. We're starting to look pretty for the inmates. Hey, you're falling into the inmate manipulation trap. Look out. Poorly trained staff. I can't say that enough. I won't beat that horse to death. Officers scared of inmates. Oh, when they see that you're scared of them. And I'm not saying don't be human and be aware and say, I need to be careful. I need to watch today. I need to watch what I'm doing. You need to watch every day. But, I'm talking about I've seen them just scared to death of the inmates. Can't wait to get in there and do the counting. Get out of there. Don't want to be with them. Don't want to be next to them. I'm scared of them. They spot that. So then they start to groom that scared officer. Hey, if you ever need anything, officer, let me know. Hey, if anybody ever tried to touch you, officer, I'll be right there. I'll help you. We'll jump in and we'll protect you. Building you up. And then ask for that little favor. Extra tray. Hey, McDonald's. Cigarette. And then once you bring that in, then we start to move to bigger stuff. Marijuana, cocaine, weapons, blah, blah, blah. Same with the female with low self-esteem or the male in a female prison. Maybe I need to show you who really loves you. Who's your daddy? I love you. And then it turns to sex. And then after the sex, I need a weapon brought in. I need marijuana brought in. I need cocaine brought in. Oh, you're in the trap big time now. You've just went from administrative policy and procedures wrongdoings to criminal wrongdoings. Okay? I have a lot of real life examples that I could give, but I'm just going to run this short today and get this out to kind of hopefully help even one person. If one person watches this and it helps them and turns them in the right direction, I think I've done my job, but I hope I can reach more than that. Isolation phase. When the inmate or inmates slowly convince a staff member to identify with them over their officers. Okay, the other officers talk bad about you. Hey, man, the officers are talking bad about you. They're trying to get you against your fellow officers and join the inmate team and trust them more. Look, man, we understand you better than you understand than your co-workers understand you. You're a cool officer. We like cool officers, man. Come on, be with us. If you go for any of these tactics, you've just slipped to the other side. Now you're not with your fellow officers anymore. You're not a team player. You're on the other side. The folks who attack you when they don't get what they want. The folks, the inmates that attack and kill officers that we read about. The inmates that injure an officer and cause them to be sent to the hospital. The inmates who shank you from behind, choke you out from behind. We read about it all the time. And you're going to fall for these tactics? Come on. You need help with anything, you come to us. The manipulators. The trap is set. You go for any one of those and you're in it. The testing phase. Inmates have gathered information on a target. They've heard things you've said to other officers. They've heard things you've told that you shouldn't have told them. They look for something to use against you, like financial problems, divorce, trouble at work. Asking again for small favors. Hey, officer, I heard you can't pay your bills. I heard Christmas is going to be terrible for your kids. I heard you tell the other officer, I can help you. Had that happen at DeSoto Correctional Institution. Husband and wife worked there. Inmate gave them $500 a week from November up to Christmas so they could catch up on their mortgage and have a Christmas for their kids. All he wanted was a bottle of whiskey and a steak dinner once a week. Came from a very rich family here in Florida, very rich. His bank account was huge on the outside. He had money coming in from a business they had just from sitting in prison. He was still getting money in his account. They accepted it, and then when they cut him off, because now they're caught up on their mortgage, their bills are paid, their kids had a good Christmas, he said, no way. Turned them in. Gave me every single detail on where to go and who provided the money and where the money came from. So they ended up on felony probation, no job, no medical and dental benefits for their kids. Come on. Testing phase. They're going to test you. They're going to learn what you like as a person and what you don't like. They're going to learn your weaknesses and your strengths, and they're not going to go to your strengths. They're going to go to your weaknesses. You've let them go too far. Now they have you, and now you're going on felony probation. Could have been worse. Could have been prison or jail. The negotiation phase, this all ties in together. Let's make a deal. I have enough on you now. I want to make a deal with you. It will not be beneficial to you, I can guarantee you that. It's always going to be beneficial to them. Okay? You can stop at this point if you haven't brought anything in yet. And even if you have, at any point during the inmate manipulation trap or any of these phases, turn yourself in. I hope it's at the very, very beginning when they attempt to manipulate you and you write them up and we're done. I hope that's when you turn them in. But if not, and you've already done something wrong, look, something's going to happen. You're going to get caught anyway. It sure looks a lot better when you go to your supervisor and say, I have really screwed up and here's what I've done. You may lose your job. May have saved yourself, though, from jail or prison, felony probation. You may get 30 days on the porch, unpaid leave, who knows. But, my God, at any point before you get arrested, turn yourself in. Okay? Confiscate anything they try to do or give you or have you bring in or any letters they give you. Or if they've called you on the phone, tell your supervisors, bite the bullet, because if you don't bite the bullet by turning yourself in and possibly save yourself from criminal charges, you're just going to end up in handcuffs in the end anyway, and really be in jail or prison. Personal relationships, that's after they've gone through all these other phases and the inmates won the battle. And now you're into the sex and the loving, or you're not into the romantic part, but you're best friends, and I'm going to bring you anything you want. And the inmate's so confident that they're going to make you feel like you're in control, but they're going to control everything you do. But they're so good at the inmate manipulation trap, they make you feel like you are in control. Now you're in deep. You're too scared to say no. If I say no, they're going to turn me in. Because now the inmate's brave enough to say, you won't do it, I'm going to turn you in. They'll actually tell you that. Now you're like, I thought you were my lover. I thought you were my friend. Damn. I'm hooked. Go turn yourself in now. Do it. Do it quick. So many people won't do that. I've seen a couple do it. But too many officers or civilian staff, when they're that deep into the trap, are too scared to do it. It's still better to do it. Turn yourself in, even that late stage. You could save yourself bigger headaches than just losing your job, believe me. The inmate knows he or she has won the battle, so now they have power and control. They're going into that extortion phase I just told you about. They'll even tell you, I know all about your family now. I know where you live. You've told me so much about them. How's your daughters doing? And then ask you a favor. That's a little hint, right? Little hint. And you're thinking, no, what does that mean? What does that mean, you say? Nothing. Just want you to know I know all about your family. By the way, I need you to pick up something for me from my friend at Walmart parking lot tonight. You'll get paid, but I need this stuff tomorrow. You got me? See? They've got you in the trap. You've reached the point of no return, as I call it. You've reached the point of no return. You either go pick up that stuff at Walmart and get arrested on a sting operation because we've already found out what you're up to, and the inmates working with us because they're getting tired of you and want to throw you to the wolves, and we're going to arrest you at Walmart tonight when you go pick up that stuff from their relative because that relative's an undercover agent. Or you can turn yourself in and avoid the arrest, lose your job, lose your certification, but at least you avoided jail or prison. And tell everything. Tell everything when you turn yourself in. You don't have to listen to me. Take the risk, because I know what some people think when they're on the other side, when they've fallen to the other side. Well, I'm in it now, but I'm smart. They won't catch me. Then you have other types of things, like I talked about earlier, the diversion tactics, where the inmates lure you to a cell so they can say they have an issue here in their cell. Somebody put this in my cell. And then over here, something else is going on. That's diversion tactics. Deceptive tactics. I'm not going to do what officer says. I avoid the instructions. I don't hear you. I do not have to do what you tell me. You're not in charge of me. I control this place and me. You don't control anything. Hoping that the officer will eventually give up and leave him alone. Don't make them do what they're supposed to do. Make them follow the rules. Have them do everything you tell them to do, or write them a disciplinary report. And we'll go from there. Once they see you mean business and you have to write them a disciplinary report, the next time you tell them to do something, things will be a little bit different, unless they want to get into further complications with the system. Luring and baiting tactics, it all fits in together. Fishing for favors, luring you into an area, being an officer, luring an officer into a physical altercation. Now that's a big one. Saying things when you're using force about the officer's family, the officer's wife, the officer's children. They're doing that to bait you in to hit them. They want you to get in trouble for excessive use of force. You've got to be careful. So a lot of these inmates will take a use of force. They will take some punishment to try to get your job. So just follow policy and procedure. Take them down when you have to. Always protect yourself. Don't be scared to use force, but do it right. Once you've got them subdued, once you've got them in cuffs and shackles, don't hit them again. That video's running. Body cam if you have them. Who knows? But something's going to get you. Don't do it. That's what they want. They're luring you into a trap. It happens on the street. Happens on the street. Mistakes and officers and civilian staff make. Talking about your private lives in front of the inmates or to officers or directly to inmates. Family, financial, divorce. Never do it. Not enforcing the rules. Showing some weakness. Horse playing with the inmates as if they're your friends. Don't do it. These are all things the inmates see, and then they know it's time to set you up for the inmate manipulation trap. Talking about personal affairs directly with the inmates. Talking badly about your co-workers or your supervisors or how you hate the place. Disgruntled employee, I discussed earlier. They like that. They want to separate you from your own co-workers. Talking badly about administration. Complacency, the silent danger. I'm just here to do my time. As long as there's no fights We get them fed and we get meds done, we get count done. I just don't give a darn. Complacency. On your phone, on your computer, doing stuff. That's when you're going to fall into a trap, a bad trap. And safety and security of the jail or prison is at high risk. Complacency kills, folks. Not asking for guidance or help when you don't know what's going on. Big mistake. I didn't care if I was on my 28th year. And I said, dang, now I'm not quite sure about this one. I'm going to find out. I'm going to call somebody. Another officer that's done that before, or a sergeant, somebody. I'm going to find out. I'm not going to do it wrong. I want to get it right. Don't be embarrassed, folks. We're a team. Work together. Ask questions. Help each other. All right? The consequences of falling into the inmate trap. I talked about it. Loss of your job and benefits. Loss of your correctional officer certification. Possible criminal charges. Possible felony or misdemeanor probation. Possible jail or prison time. Okay? Many more things we could talk about on that. I'm just running through this quickly. The dangers of inmate manipulation. Big one. The end result's not just about your job and prison and jail. Officers injured or killed on duty because of drugs being brought in and they're high, weapons being brought in and they use them against the officers, inmates fighting each other over contraband and jealousy, gangs against gangs, and you got this brought in and that's my man and you use my man, and officers go in to break up the fights between the inmates and get hurt. Threats to outside family members. I talked about the inmate who says, you know, we know where you live and your family. You think that doesn't happen? And it can happen? A judge just got shot not long ago in his parking lot of his home parking lot. These folks can find your house and your family. Yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. You have to use your head. They are not there to be your friends. They will destroy your life. Breakdown in security, that one person, that one weak link. Inmates take over the dorm, the pod, or the facility. Now you have a hostage situation. Okay? It's dangerous, folks, to play around with these inmates and even get to thinking you might be able to trust them. I'm not saying all inmates will do this. I'm just saying you can't take a chance with any one of these inmates. It's not your job. It's not your duty. It's not what you're there for. What do the effects of inmate manipulation and corruption do to our profession? It undermines the confidence of the public trust of correctional officers. It destroys the respect of our uniform that we represent. It reflects the appearance that the agency has no discipline, no control over their officers. It costs the taxpayers a lot of money, like these escapes. Clinton escape was $23 million. We just had another escape recently that was $11 million to taxpayers. It's ungodly amount of money with these helicopters and all these agencies coming together to come in and try to find an escapee. And it also can cost the lives of civilians when these inmates escape, killing civilians. When they escape, they kill officers. It paves the way for civil lawsuits against your agency. Come on, folks. It's just ridiculous to think that we don't need to know about inmate manipulation and the trap you can fall into. What we can all do as a team to help each other. Frontline officers and supervisors work together and communicate with each other. Come on now, enough is enough. It's time to get the game on and be together as one. We're stronger in numbers, right? So if the supervisors and frontline staff are all working together, we can't go wrong. We're going to win. Off-going shifts, I talked about it, communicate with each other. As administration, now you provide the tools for good communication. Let your staff know you're there when they need help. Let your staff know they don't need to be afraid if they think they've gotten a little too far in with an inmate. Let them know to come to you. Let them know verbally at briefing. Or when you make your rounds in the dorms, ask the officers what they need. Tell them to keep their head on a swivel. Tell them to watch out. And tell them to call anytime they need help. Report and document any inmate attempting to manipulate you. Report and document and keep a copy for you. In case some down the line an inspector comes in because somebody's made an allegation against you saying you're dealing or working with this inmate. Show that inspector that you've documented. They're still going to investigate to make sure you're not dealing with the inmate, but protect yourself. Last but not least, again, we need to be there for each other always. Knowledge is power. I got your back. In corrections, we only have each other, folks. Warn each other of dangers. Communication is the key. Thank you for your time today. I've shortened this up a lot. I've got this in a 2-hour block, but I've shortened it up a lot just for my video today. Please, please pay attention and stay safe, and thank you for your service. Gary York, True Prison Story.